It's always safe to watch VHS tapes that just have a year on it, right? I mean, you couldn't find anything weird or damaging on those, could you? Right? That's right, we're doing another VHS movie, and this one is VHS 94. I'm gonna do a review on each segment after I watch it, so this is gonna be a little choppier than the rest of them have been. The first segment, there's a framing story in here, and since I haven't seen the end of that, I won't talk about that until I get there. But the first story is about the Rat Man, and I like that one. The news footage is actually feels very time appropriate. It looks super clean, like a professional shoot would be. So really appreciate that because there was some really crap digital VHS effects that were slapped on the opening of the framing device. Honestly, kind of pissed me off a little bit how bad it was. The Ratman segment is pretty good. It's actually fairly short. I think it's 10, maybe 12 minutes. And it's quick, it's to the point. It's a little more Lovecraftian than I was expecting. And I appreciate that. I appreciate we have a character that comes back to be revealed as a cult leader. That's kind of cool. There's some cool effects here, and the Ratman is not one of them, though. They use a lot of that digital VHS degradation filter to cover up that the mask that they have on the guy who's playing the Ratman is real, real bad. Essentially, it just looks like a cardboard tube that they cut a little mouth flappy thing out, put some hair on it, and called it a day. I know these things are done on the cheap, but that was not great. Like all of these VHS movies have kind of been done, all the segments are done on the cheap, and they generally do pretty well with their effects. Some of them are amazing, some of them are just okay, but they usually sell it. This is the first one where I'm just like, no, this is not good. But the very end, is actually really good. It just loops back around to the news stuff, and it has a fake ad, which I always think is fun. Did a little play on the slap chop and the 80s, not actually, no, because this is supposed to take place in 94. So yeah, this is prime slap chop territory. And that was actually really funny. I like that a lot. There's a bass ripoff that happens, so that practical effect looks really cool. There are some things that I've noticed a couple times. It has happened like 3 times so far, where it fades to black, almost like you were watching this on regular broadcast television and they were going to a commercial, and then it immediately fades back up to the exact same scene. So I'm hoping that there is a story explanation for this, but with the past couple of times I've seen stuff like this happen in movies and had it not pay off with anything, I'm not expecting it to go anywhere. Okay, so the second story, the memorial, gave big Snick vibes. If you know the Big Orange Couch, then you know. It very much just felt like an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was the quality of the shooting, the quality of the tape they used. The effects, however, much better. Aside from that one with the dead guy who comes out of the pool with no skin, that was a scary episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Maybe we'll talk about that some other time, but this was bump in the night story. There's perpetual noises, the lights go out, a random creepy dude shows up, and then zombie tornado. Okay, it's not a tornado of zombies, it is a zombie, and then there is also a tornado. That's it. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about the wraparound story until the end, but there is just one line before the third story where it sounds like a guy is auditioning to be a new color commentator for the WWE. We need a grave digger. It's just ridiculous and hilarious. But the third story is called The Subject. It's giving We Have RoboCop at Home. Like, it is obviously shot on digital. Like, they don't even like try to cover that with bad filters in this one, which is good and bad. I mean, I kind of appreciate not having that because it's kind of irritating and it makes a lot of noise visually. It feels like it was made on the cheap. There's so many stocked digital effects that you would just find in most basic editing programs. It's kind of distracting. And then like the last 5 minutes, there's a ton of good effects. There's practical effects, and it looks really cool. And it's kind of weird that it's just like, well, you could have just shortened this up and just made it this bit. Put a little bit more money into like the good stuff you got right here. But, you know, it is what it is. It does definitely have the actual RoboCop vibe, where it's kind of tragic and sad when you get to the end. It's fun, but it's not really scary. It does have, it is a lot of body horror. Like RoboCop 2 type of body horror, where some of it's a little funny and some of it is really gross and disturbing. But on to the next one. The last section is called The Terror. And honestly, it made me nostalgic for the right-wing assholes who were just building bunkers and small arsenals in the 90s. It was a simpler time, you know, where they would actually get busted for shit. And this is essentially like if they got a living weapon of mass destruction. And this is the only one that actually looks like it was shot on VHS. And honestly, if it was, that's amazing. This one actually does feel like a tape from the 90s, so that part is really cool. There's not a ton of effects. There's like a few gunshots that look practical. They could be digital, but the VHS aesthetic was kept up so well, it might have actually helped cover up the digital effects if there were any. A lot of it just looks just practical, and it's done pretty well. I think this one's probably my favorite, followed by like the Ratman segment. As far as the wraparound, it's honestly kind of like the first VHS, except instead of thieves breaking into a house to steal rare stuff, it's a SWAT team goes in for a drug bust that isn't real, and there's a lot more dead bodies, and they're betrayed from within, so that's always fun. We'll be back for a new one tomorrow.